Hello and good evening, traders. I hope you've all had a good week last week and are now ready to kill the week ahead in the Forex markets. So, welcome to Thetas Technicals Volume 2, covering our weekly analysis for the week ahead. So, starting off with EURUSD on the weekly time frame, let's see what's happened for last week's price action. If we see, we did form this huge bearish candle. Did we get a wick? So we did get this slight wick to the downside. Now, what am I expecting from EURUSD for the week ahead is for price to come down to this weekly level of liquidity. If I just drop it down to the daily quickly. So what I'm expecting is price to come down. Again, we do have as a confluence, the 1.1 psychological level. What I'm expecting is for price to come to test this daily low, which was actually a weekly low as well. So for EURUSD, I did cover in last week's video, last week's Thetas Technicals, that I did expect price to come down for this week, as for euro dollar to have this next push to the upside, we did need price to come down and take out this low, as we needed price to come at a discount. So staying on the daily time frame, again, this whole week we did have 5 consecutive bearish candles, and now what I'm expecting, I'll just go on the 4 hour. What I'm expecting is price to test this level here, so test this low of 1.09916, and at this level they could provide a potential long setup, but what I'm looking for now is Monday's open, price to slightly retrace higher and then potentially a sell opportunity to short it down to this level at 1.0993. And if we do get down to this level and there isn't a reaction, I do expect potentially as our last level for euro is around this 1.09400 level, where for price to act as a final support, for this level to act as a final support for EURUSD. But that's pretty much it with euro. What I do expect is coming Wednesday, Thursday, Friday in the week is bullish momentum to kick in and price to start to move to the upside on EURUSD, and potentially target, if I just put a risk reward tool on this setup, so it potentially come up to target this high, this swing high here at 1.1287 and the 1.125 psychological level. So that's quite simply EURUSD for the week ahead. Monday, Tuesday, I'm expecting the low of the week to form, price to come down a bit, and then coming into the last half of the week, price to come and move to the upside. EUR/JPY now. Start off on the weekly time frame. What am I expecting? So, weekly time frame, we formed for the last 3 weeks. We've had a consolidation form on EUR/JPY. What's price doing? We formed these highs here, where what I'm expecting now on EUR/JPY, I just go down to the daily, as the weekly candle doesn't really show much. I am expecting the low of the week to be tested first on EUR/JPY. So daily time frame, what am I looking for in EUR/JPY? Price to take out this recent swing low in the market. So this recent low at 120.14, I'm expecting price to trade through that. Then if I go on the 4 hour, so on the 4 hour, what I'm expecting is price to potentially come down to this gap right here, not really the gap, but price to come down to test these lows formed at 119.8. Market just opened. So basically on EUR/JPY, what I'm looking for this week ahead is price to take out this low, capture liquidity, and then I'll reevaluate and what I see, because I could potentially see a further push to the upside if I just go on the 8 hour, 4 hour I mean. So I could potentially see on Euro JPY after taking a short, so Monday, Tuesday again, I do expect Euro JPY to form bearish days, where taking a short down, so around 100 pips from current market price, to test these key levels where prices formed liquidity line below from traders already long. So that's Euro JPY for this week ahead. Again, if we do get down to these levels, there could be a potential long setup, but I will have to update that live in the markets. I can't predict that for now, but again, my long-term analysis on Euro JPY is still bullish, as in I do want price to come up to take out this swing high formation on the daily time frame. So back on the 10th of July at 122.25, I do expect that to play out on Euro JPY long term. So that's Euro JPY covered. GBP USD daily. So GBP USD on the daily, again this week we did have 5 consecutive bearish days, where after forming this high on the 1st of November, price has just trickled to the downside, taking out this swing low, capturing some liquidity. Weekly time frame from this bearish week, and what I'm expecting now is for this week on GBP USD, I'm expecting this wick to the upside to form on the weekly, and then to continue down to potentially, if I just break it down to the daily 4 hour, I mean, so potentially to price to come to these lows that formed here at 1.2656. So yeah, on GBP USD, what I'm expecting is price to retrace more to the downside, ideally at one of these levels here. A final test for GBP USD will be this low at 1.251, where if that's broken, I'll have to reevaluate my analysis and see what price action is showing me. But for now on GBP USD, I'll just go on the 1 hour. Yeah, on the 1 hour, I do want these, no, let's just go back on the 4 hour. I do want that these lows need to be tested for any kind of long positions, because again, if you go back to last week's video on Thetas Technicals, I did call this move to the downside for that week, and I did expect price to come to these levels for last week, but that analysis is still intact, and I do want these levels to be tested before we get a push to take out highs, before we do get the push here. So I do expect highs to be taken out at 1.302, and long term I am bullish on GU and GJ. But for now, for this week ahead, I do see shorts coming in for Monday and Tuesday. GBP JPY, pretty similar to GU. So let's start on the weekly. Again, so the weekly did form a nice high, slightly taking out the last week's high and capturing liquidity. So again, we're consolidating as well on GBP JPY. Daily time frame. We did have on the 5th of November, we did have a push high to take out that high and capture liquidity, and now we are beginning to have this move to the downside, which, let's just stay on the 4 hour. So pretty much what I expect on GBP JPY now is for price to just carry on moving to the downside. We've got nice lows which price needs to take out, capture some liquidity from retail traders already long. if I zoom into where I want price to come to, so we do have these lows which I do expect price to test, and psychological as well, 137.5. I am expecting GJ to come down, which again I did call this on last week's Thetas Technicals, and I am still expecting this move to happen for our long-term analysis to play out and take out the highs. We do have that swing high at 141.7, but long-term on GJ, I do expect price to come to 144 at least to test, potentially even up to 146. But 144 would be, if I do capture a long at the lows here, I'll have my take profit at 144. So that's GJ covered. Gold, we did have a huge downside move this week. Starting off on the beginning of the week, we had to push down from 1514 all the way down to 1460. So around 54 pip downside move. Now let's go on the weekly time frame. Get a huge bearish candle on the weekly. All I'm expecting for this week ahead is price to actually come up a bit higher before we continue to the downside. So for our time frame, I do expect price to potentially take out these two highs. If I just adjust that, these two highs formed, and then add a potential sell opportunity to the downside, or ideally if price were to come to test around this level here for a nice short to continue down to, if I just the risk reward tool. So if I look on the daily time frame, I do have 1445 as my level where I do expect price to come into it for this week ahead to take out this recent low formed, and also come to this significant level where price rocketed up from. So that's really it for gold. For this trade setup, what I want to see happen is Monday, Tuesday, we have up days where price forms potentially the high of the week, and then coming into Wednesday, Thursday and Friday, we begin this move to the downside, which is around, if we do retrace slightly higher, is quite a bit of pips. So that's 400 pips if we retrace higher. But say for example, if we retrace 100 pips, it's around a 260 pip target once we get this retracement higher. But yeah, that is gold for this week. And if we do have this downward push on Monday and Tuesday, unlike what I expect for Monday and Tuesday to be up days, or Monday at least to be a day where gold doesn't form a new low, I will have to revisit my analysis and see what price is doing at gold, because I do expect some form of reaction to come at 1445 or the ultimate level of 1430. Ideally, I will expect in the middle of this level to form some sort of bullish reaction, and then I could look for longs on gold. So that's gold broken down. Last pair for this week of Thetas Technicals, USD CAD. Starting off with the weekly time frame, we did have these 3 daily bearish formations on USD, weekly candle formations on USD CAD, and now price has had a significant push to the upside. So what am I now expecting on USD CAD is for Monday and Tuesday to be bullish days, and for price to come higher to potentially test 1.328 as a key level that I have drawn out on USD CAD. So daily time frame, if you just break down what price has done now, we formed that high on the 30th of October. I think that was last week Thursday, no, the week before was Thursday, where what's happened above what is now lying above that high, sell people's stop losses. What was priced on last week's Friday, we've taken out stops, captured liquidity. Now what I'm expecting is for price to take out the recent high formed, and also my chart loads, take out this 4-hour swing high which price formed at the level of 1.323,400, I do expect a push higher, taking out more stop losses which are placed just above or just at that high, liquidity to be captured, and then price to have a easy run into 1.32800, where there I would reevaluate. If we do get to there by Tuesday, I will be looking for shorts for the week ahead. And yeah, that is pretty much it on USD CAD. For trade setups, I'll quickly cover my chart size to load. So on USD CAD, what I do see as a trade setup coming in Monday is a slight retracement lower down to the psychological 1.32 level to provide a potential long, where depending on entry and when I do update the Telegram, we could have a stop of around 5 to 7 pips with a TP again at the 1.32800 level for a potential 12 risk reward trade, but I'd probably loosen my stop around 10 pips. So for around 6 to 10 risk reward on this trade setup alone. So that seems to be it for this week ahead on my specific currency pairs, because for me personally, I do only trade 6 to 7 currency pairs, because the way I see it personally is if I'm trying to focus on all these exotics, all these 28 I think it is currency pairs in Forex, it distracts my attention from the majors and the pairs that I personally like to trade myself. As if I'm trying to look at all these different currency pairs and all different crosses and whatever, I'm spending so much time, and not so much time, I'm spending my time on so many different things where I'm not able to focus on one or two currency pairs and focus on specific pairs, where if I was to focus on them and only track 5 to 8 currency pairs, I'm able to learn a lot more by studying what price action is and familiarizing myself with how a specific pair moves, how quickly it moves to significant levels. As by doing that and by focusing on your own currency pairs, it doesn't have to be the majors, it can be pairs that you personally like to trade, you're able to you're able to specialize in that specific pair and be so familiar and build up a journal of what price action does, to the point where from months to come, years to come, you know that pair like the back of your hand. You're able to easily analyze and see what price is doing, and you know what signs it's showing you, and whether you should leave it for the day or leave it for the week, or whether you should trade it. So that's really why I do just trade GJ, GU, EJ, EU, gold, sometimes oil, USD CAD, and Aussie dollar and New Zealand dollar, and sometimes GA, but not really for this week ahead. I don't have specific setups on, or we did get quite a big gap on that. But yeah, that's it really for this week ahead for Thetas Technicals. Quite a short video, because we did have last week's video we did have the monthly closures covered, and if you want to go back and check out that video, because a lot of the analysis is still intact and has played out for this week. But thank you all for all the support recently and all the new people in the Telegram. Again, the link to the Telegram will be in the bio, but in the description below. And if anyone is interested in the mentorship, we are now very, very close to the release of our mentorship, which will be where we release the concepts and reasoning behind my analysis and the setups I provide, because it's very different, to retail style of trading, and very different to what a lot of trading in the community is, and all the concepts and confirmations taught are quite different to the main community of trading. So if anyone is interested in the mentorship, which will come with lots of videos covering the concepts that we teach, one-to-one calls, group calls, you'll be access to the free private Telegram, and where you're able to share your ideas, and me and the Theta team are able to help you individually and as a group. So you're around an environment where your learning and your learning curve is able to accelerate much quicker as you're around like-minded people and people to elevate your trading journey and your personal journey as well. So yeah, that should be released very, very soon actually. And yeah, that's it for this video for Thetas Technicals. Again, if anyone has any questions or anything you're stuck on in your own trading, feel free to DM me on my Instagram, LucaFXV, and also Ollie.fxt on his Instagram. But that's it for this video of Thetas Technicals. Thank you for everything.